Welcome! Today, we're taking a bit of a virtual tour. We're going to explore ancient Palestine to see how the land itself, the mountains, the deserts, the rivers, didn't just witness history, it actually played a huge part in shaping it. So let's really dig into that question, because in this part of the world, the geography was never just a passive backdrop. Nope. The hills, the valleys, and even the patterns of rainfall, they were all crucial characters, influencing everything from military campaigns to religious beliefs. And here's what's so incredible about this whole exploration. The basic physical geography of the land, it's barely changed since New Testament times. So the map we're about to look at is a remarkably reliable guide to the world we're trying to understand. Okay, so let's dive right in. The land here is basically organized into these distinct geographical bands that run north to south, one right after the other. We're going to do a quick flyover, starting from the Mediterranean coast and heading east to see just how dramatically the terrain changes in a really short distance. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got the flat, fertile coastal plain. Think of it as an open highway, super easy for armies to march right through, which made it incredibly vulnerable. But then, just a few miles inland, bam, you hit the rugged hill country. It's a natural fortress of sharp hills and deep valleys that was way harder to invade. And that right there is exactly why it became the heartland of ancient Israel.
Now, this crazy contrast is all driven by a powerful climate effect. So you've got these winds blowing in from the Mediterranean, and they're full of moisture. As that air gets forced up over those central hills, it cools down and drops all its rain. But then once it gets over the ridge and starts to descend, the air warms back up and totally dries out. This creates what's called a rain shadow, giving the western side plenty of water while turning the land just to the east into a desert.
And when I say that descent is dramatic, I am not kidding. This number, that's the surface elevation of the Dead Sea, literally the lowest point on the face of the Earth. It sits in the unbelievably hot and dry Rift Valley, which is this massive geological fault line that just carves its way right through the region. Okay, so we have the west to east layout down. Now, let's switch our perspective and look at some key features along a north to south line. We'll start up with the snowy peaks in the north and head all the way down to the deserts of the south. Way up in the far north, we've got the towering snow-covered Mount Hermon. Its snowmelt is basically the lifeblood for the whole region, feeding the Jordan River. All that water flows south into Galilee, making it the most fertile and best-watered part of Palestine. Now, the Sea of Galilee itself, sitting deep below sea level, has this unique climate that can whip up these sudden, violent storms. A little detail that you might have guessed pops up quite a bit in the Gospels. Now, cutting east to west, right across the landscape, is the Jezreel Valley. It separates Galilee from the Central Hills. This flat plain was, for all intents and purposes, the superhighway of the ancient world. It connected the main coastal route to the interior, which made it a vital trade route and, as you can probably imagine, a constant strategic battleground.
And this is exactly why that valley is so famous in world history. If you wanted to control the region, you had to control the narrow passes through the hills, like the one at the city of Megiddo. So many decisive, world-changing battles were fought right here that its name, Har Megiddo, which means Hill of Megiddo, became the symbolic location for the final, ultimate conflict, Armageddon.
Okay, if we head south from there, the landscape just totally changes. It gets much harsher. The wilderness of Judea, which sits in that rain shadow we talked about, is this chalky, desolate badlands, almost completely uninhabited. And even further south is the Negev, a desert where survival depended entirely on these really clever water harvesting techniques. Because while the soil was actually pretty good, rain was incredibly scarce. So, we've got the physical map down. Now, let's overlay the human map on top of it. At the time of Jesus, this land was all carved up into several different political territories. It wasn't one unified country at all, but this patchwork of regions ruled by different sons of Herod the Great, or, in some cases, directly by Rome. This chart really shows you that complex political reality. For instance, you had Philip the Tetrarch ruling a mostly non-Jewish population up in the northeast. But the main takeaway here is just how close everything was. A person could literally walk from Galilee, which was ruled by Herod Antipas, into Judea, a province run directly by a Roman governor like Pontius Pilate, all in a single day. These weren't distant empires. Their borders were right there, and they had huge implications for your daily life. And for our final stop, let's zoom all the way in on the most important city of them all, Jerusalem.
To really get its long and often violent history, you have to understand its unique topography. Its defense was literally built right into the landscape.
You see, the city sits up on a ridge, and it's naturally protected by these incredibly deep valleys on the east, south, and west. I mean, it's a natural fortress. Its only real weak point was from the north, and that's why over centuries they built wall after wall on that northern side to try and make up for it.
And these valleys weren't just geographical features. They were a huge part of daily life and became powerful religious symbols. You had the Kidron Valley separating the Temple Mount from the Mount of Olives, the Hinnom Valley wrapped around the south, and the Tarapoyon, the Cheesemakers Valley, it actually ran right through the middle of the city.
For example, the Hinnom Valley eventually became the city's garbage dump, where fires were constantly smoldering away. Well, that image of fire and waste was so potent that its Hebrew name, Gehenna, became the Jewish term for the place of eternal punishment. It's the origin of our concept of hell.
And the city itself was built across several different hills, each with its own character. There was Mount Moriah, the sacred Temple Mount. Just south of that was the Ophel, the original, smaller city. Then across the Kidron Valley, you had the famous Mount of Olives. And to the west, on higher ground, was the Upper City, which is where the wealthy and powerful lived.
So after this whole whirlwind tour, what's the big takeaway? Well, it's pretty simple. The physical land, the stage itself, was never just a passive backdrop to the historical drama.
From the sudden storms on the Sea of Galilee, to the superhighway of the Jezreel Valley, all the way to the defensible hills of Jerusalem, the geography of ancient Palestine was an active player. It shaped travel, it dictated military strategy, it defined politics, and it even gave birth to the very language and metaphors used to describe ultimate realities.
So the real question to leave you with is this: knowing the stage, how does that change the way you read the play? It's a powerful new lens to re-examine these ancient accounts. Thanks for joining this explainer.